Hello everyone and welcome to P2P College Prep's second online tutorial. My name is Isha Chawla and today we are going to be discussing data interpretation and graphs, which are found on the writing portion of the SAT, which is section number 2. So before we go ahead and actually look at some of the released problems from the College Board, let's understand what exactly data interpretation encompasses for the SAT. So for data interpretation, College Board will give you a graph, a table, or some sort of figure and ask you, based on the following graph, table, or figure, is which answer choice is essentially most relevant to the passage and which answer choice helps advance the author's argument. So as we go through the practice problems that we're going to go to today, I want you to ask yourself these two questions. One, is the answer choice that you're picking actually supported by the graph? And two, is the answer choice that you're picking, does it make sense in the passage, in the context of the passage? So now that we have that down, let's essentially go ahead and look at some of the released data interpretation problems from the College Board. First problem that we are going to solve is number 33 from College Board practice test number 5. This is from section 2, which is the writing section of the SAT. So what we have here is we are presented a graph, and the first thing you want to do is you want to look at the title. And we see here that the title says crowd-funded projects on Kickstarter in 2012. One of the most important parts when you're doing data interpretation and graphs on the SAT is that you have to know, of course, what the graphs are talking about. Then we see that there are sort of three mini graphs that are presented here. The first one is money raised, the second one is average pledge, and the third one is success rate along the x-axis. And along the y-axis, we see that there are many different categories such as games, publishing, food, etc. So let's look at question number 33. Which says here, which choice offers an accurate interpretation of the data in the graph? So what we're going to do is we're going to go through answers A, B, C, and D and do a process of elimination. If you see anything wrong with even one part of the answer, the entire answer is wrong. So let's read answer choice A. The project category with the lowest amount of money raised was also the most successfully funded project category. Okay, so what was the project with the lowest amount of money raised? So within the three mini graphs, we go to the money raised graph, and we look at which one was the lowest amount of money, and we see here that that's dance. And then it says that the category with the lowest amount of money was also the most successful. So we go over to the graph with success rate, and we see that the highest success rate was also dance. So dance also had the least amount of money raised, but also was the one with the highest success rate. So A is a correct answer, but let's go through and make sure that all of the other answers are incorrect. So B says the project category with the highest average pledge amount was also the most successfully funded project. So we go to the average pledge chart, which is chart number 2 here, and we see that the highest average pledge amount was in the food category. But then we see that the most successfully funded project, which is when we go to graph 3, was dance. Since the project category with the highest pledge amount was not the most successfully funded project, we know that B is incorrect. Looking at answer choice C, we say that the project category with the lowest average pledge amount was also the project category that raised the most money. So we go to the graph that shows average pledge, which is graph number 2 again, and we're looking at the lowest average pledge amount, which in this case turns out to be publishing. Alright, was publishing also the project category that raised the most money? We go to graph number 1 that shows money raised, and we see that the category that raised the most amount of money was actually games. Since publishing was not the category that raised the most amount of money, we see that C is also incorrect. Finally, we look at answer choice D, and it says the project category with the highest average pledge amount was also the project category with the most money raised. So we go to the average pledge, and we see that the highest average pledge was in food, but the project with the most money raised was games. So we know that answer choice D is not correct, which affirms that answer choice A is correct. Okay, so the next problem that we are going to solve is number 12 from College Board Practice Test number 1. This is section 2, which is again the writing portion of the SAT. So we again are going to be looking at a graph and interpreting it to choose the most accurate and effective representation. So let's first begin by reading the passage. It says, most of Greenland's interior is covered by a thick layer of ice and compressed snow known as the Greenland ice sheet. The size of the ice sheet fluctuates seasonally. In summer, average daily temperatures in Greenland can rise to slightly above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, partially melting the ice. In the winter, the sheet thickens as additional snow falls, and average daily low temperatures can drop to as low as 20 degrees. So number 12 is asking us which choice most accurately and effectively represents the information in the graph. So we know that the question is asking about the winter time, and we're trying to find the average daily low temperatures. So looking at the key over here, we see that the average daily low temperatures is represented by the normal line, not the dashed line. So we're going to be looking at the graph that is on the bottom, which is just the normal line. So we are looking for essentially the lowest temperature that it drops to during the winter time. Winter time essentially is going to be from, in this case, they essentially are looking for, in the winter, the lowest temperature that it can drop to. And it says here that that temperatures can drop to as low as 20 degrees, which we know is incorrect, because looking near December 13th, we see that it drops below 20 degrees. So A is not correct. B to 12 degrees Fahrenheit actually could be correct, because we see near March 5th that temperatures do drop to about 12 degrees and it still classifies as winter time, so B could be correct. C says to their lowest point on December 13th. We see that at December 13th, that even though the temperature is low, that it continues to go downward and even reaches 12 degrees after that. So we know that the lowest point is not on December 13th. And then answer choice D says to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and it stays there for months. We see that nothing actually reaches 10 degrees, which is right here, and it definitely doesn't stay there for months. So D is incorrect, which means that B must be the correct answer. Alright, so the final problem we are going to do is number 24 from College Board Practice Test number 2. This is again from section 2, which is the writing portion of the SAT. So again, we are going to be looking at a graph, interpreting the graph, and choosing the answer that agrees with both the graph and sort of the direction the passage is heading in. So let's begin by first reading the passage. Environmentalist otters. It has long been known that the sea otters living along the west coast of North America help keep kelp forests and their habitat healthy and vital. They do this by feeding on sea urchins and other herbivorous invertebrates that graze voraciously on kelp. With sea otters to keep the population of sea urchins in check, kelp forests can flourish. In fact, 2 years or less of sea otters can completely eliminate sea urchins in a coastal area. See chart. So we're going to be focusing on number 2 here, and the number 2 question says which choice offers an accurate interpretation of the data in the chart which we have provided here. So let's begin by going through the answer choices and eliminating the answers that are incorrect. Remember that even one part of an answer that is incorrect makes the entire answer incorrect. So the first answer is no change, and if we go back to the passage, it says that 2 years or less of sea otters can completely eliminate, that's the key phrasing here, sea urchins. So if we look in the category of 2 years or less of sea otter presence, we see that although the sea urchin population is greatly reduced, there is still a very, very small amount of sea urchins that are actually present. Therefore, they're not completely eliminated, which makes answer choice A incorrect. For answer choice B, it says, even 2 years or less of sea otter presence can reduce the sea urchin threat, which we see is correct. When there are no otters present, there are a lot more sea urchins than when otters are present for 2 years. Therefore, it does reduce the sea urchin threat, which makes B a possible correct answer, but let's go through the other answer choices and make sure that they are incorrect. For answer choice C, we see kelp density increases proportionally, that's the key phrasing here, as sea urchin density increases. So first of all, it says that kelp density increases proportionally. We do see that it is along an increasing trend, but the main thing here is that as sea urchin density also increases, and we see that the sea urchin density is actually decreasing with more presence of otters, which means that C is incorrect. And finally, for answer choice D, it says even after sea otters were present for 10 years or more, kelp density was still lower than sea urchin density. And we see that that's incorrect. After 10 years of otter presence, there sure is a lot more kelp than there are sea urchins, which aren't even there anymore, which makes answer choice D incorrect and answer choice B the correct answer. Thank you so much for watching our video today. If you still have any questions from the tutorial, please feel free to send us a message at p2pcollegeprep@gmail.com. We are also hosting in-person sessions, and if you're interested in that, please sign up for them at www.p2pcollegeprep.org. Thank you so much for watching our video, and we hope to see you next time.